Somebody else did too. Okay. All right. Good morning. My boy, my man, my boy, Marcus brought it, didn't he? So I did the same thing with Spencer again, like I did before, and I said, "Did you think everybody got it?" And Spencer said, "I've heard it 100 times. People hadn't heard it before. Probably didn't make that much sense." He didn't say that. He didn't do all that negative stuff, but I was thinking, I want to slow down for everybody, the 60 percenters, the 90 percenters, the 27 percenters, the 3 percenters, and I want to make sure we're on the same page with something. Good morning. Y'all doing all right? Y'all gonna come back again next October? Where y'all want to have it next year? I wonder where we'll have it next year. Miami. Hey, we're gonna be in Fort Lauderdale in about a month. The IUL extravaganza. Y'all should come down there. Hey, here's your number one thing. Well, let me give you three things. It's the people you hang around, the audios you listen to, and the books you read. That's the three things that change everything, because everybody wants to know how to do this business, and we're going to try to tell you the best we can how to do it, but it's more caught than taught. We can't just teach it to you. It's kind of like when you go to college or whatever. I went to the textile school. I got a textile engineering degree, and I learned a lot about textiles, but until I got in that waste house with Mr. Henry, and Mr. Henry told me, not to put the horses, put the cart before the horses, and not to stick my finger in there because it'd take my whole arm off. I was like, I understand how the waste house works now. Like until I got in the waste house, I didn't know how it worked. So it's like you're going to have to get out there, experience stuff, and then ask questions. So hanging around and to get around the people, we have events coming up. Like we've got one in Fort Lauderdale, we got one in Houston. We got the big events coming back in Dallas. In other words, if you want to join us. Meaning, if you think you can just stay out there on your own and make it, it'd be like thinking you can get paid from a company that you never come to the company, like you don't go in to work. And I know these people have these virtual jobs. I also know people get lonely and bored, and they want to hang around other people. I can tell you how you do that. You look at the cities, and you notice there's more people in the city. That's because there's more people. Is that how it works? So the bigger meetings have more people because people want to be around people. And so you get to pick which city you belong to. It's making any sense. In other words, you stay at home and you're picking being alone, you're going to get bored and you're going to hang around somebody. You decide who you hang around. So you do this. You take this friend makes $65,000, this friend makes $55,000, this friend makes $100,000, this friend makes $47,000, this friend makes $61,000. You divide that in two, and that's your friends. I'll guarantee you add those up. You add up 65K plus 55K plus 100K plus 47K plus 61K divided by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'll guarantee you your income is around $65,600. That's just the way it works. You take your 5 friends that you hang around all the time, church, uncles, aunts, that's your income. That's also, you take this attitude's 90%, this attitude's a 4%, you divide the attitudes by 5, that's your attitude. Does this make sense? This is money to me. This is how money works. You decide how much money you want, how much income you want. You make that decision. And it's funny because people say things like, I didn't pick this, or I didn't want this. And I'm like, dude, you did. Like, when you tell me that your circumstances is because something outside this circle of you, all that tells me is it'll never change for you. If the situation is inside this circle and it's something you did stupid, something you did brilliant, your situation, then we can fix that situation because you control it. But when you tell me you didn't have anything to do with it, that just tells me it's not going to change. Because I can't fix your problem. Your mama can't fix it. Biden can't fix your problem. Trump can't fix your problem. DeSantis can't. It's Jesus can fix my problem. Okay. You can never argue with the Jesus argument. Once they go with God said, step back, non-believer. You can't argue with a Jesus argument. Ask Marcus Richardson. You can't argue. But God said, you just move on. You with me? Huh? That's right. Okay. All right. So, Spencer's so married. I mean, kids, my wife heard me. They said, what did they say? I said, God, what did the agent say? I said, well, God told them. They go like, I'm out. You can't. I mean, Chris Hill said he's going to work here a year. You had 13 years. Every time somebody asks him, yeah, give him a hand. Give him a hand back on. He said, hey, man, I got a job offer. I said, what'd God say? God said, didn't take it. I said, get back to work. He said, I know. I mean, he didn't argue with it. I ain't argue. This time he said, God said, take it. And I said, all right, I guess you got to quit. He's like, yep. You can't argue with that. I like people that can hear God, too. I like those people. I don't argue with them, though. Now, somebody hears the devil, don't talk to them neither. You got a mess. All right, so the rule of 72. It's like this. If the force to hold this pin up is greater than the force pulling it down. What's the force pulling it down? Gravity. Who discovered gravity? Isaac Newton. He didn't discover it. It was always there. He just named it. I'm gonna call this gravity. Great. It was happening way before you was born. Okay? So the rule of 72 is just a rule like gravity. I don't know. Why do I have to learn about centrifugal force and all that how gravity works? If the force pushing it up is greater than the force pushing it, or force holding it up is greater than the force pulling it down, then it stays up. If it's less, it goes down. If it's wavering, it wavers. It's not complicated. So once you got that rule, that's the rule. So then it's just, if I had to argue with you on everything about your life, it's going to be nightmare. We ain't going to get through it. Let's just say it's a rule. But I don't know why the rule works 72, but it's if you take a dollar and want to know how long it takes to turn it into $2, it's just a matter of interest rate. So 72 divided by the interest rate. So if the interest rate's 2%, 72 divided by 2%, it'll take 36 years to $1 to turn into $2. If it's 20%, 72 divided by 20%, it'll take 3.6 years to double. And so why that's important, there's 100 reasons why it's important, but if you understand what you do with your time, if you can put your time into a dollar activity, you can put your time into a 2% activity, or you can put your time into a 20% an activity. Or you got a bucket right here, and a bucket right here, and you got money, and you can pick which bucket. You can pick which bucket you put your money in. If one bucket's making 20% and the other bucket's making 2%, and you pick the 2%, then your money's it's going to double, but it's going to be 36 years. You're going to be old as me when it doubles. Does that make sense? Or older. If you're my age now, you're going to be dead. You with me? Which, it'd be good to leave to your kids. I'm trying to do stuff. I'm trying to do stuff for myself, but I love having stuff for my grandkids, and I ain't got yet, but I'm going to have them one day. And great-grandkids, like I have strategies that I've put in place for them for things to happen. And some people don't care about that. I know some people. They don't have no life insurance, or they got enough life insurance to pay the bills. I'm like, oh, my God. Okay, cool. I don't argue with them, but I want something for the kids and grandkids and great-grandkids. I want them. I think it's cool when there's stories when people talk about granddaddy or whatever and great-granddaddy and what he did. And you got to have something to fight for. Whatever experiences you're having in your life, if you pick I love it. This is gonna make somebody mad, but like I said, I try to discriminate or just make people mad at every level. But I like these mothers that say, like, I just want it better for my kids than it was for me. And I always go, that's not going to be that hard. You know what I'm saying? You had it terrible. Like, all you got to do is not beat them till they bleed, and they'll have a better life than you. I'm like, that's your goal. Better than your life, huh? Whoa! I don't know. I don't know. It doesn't seem like a stretch to me. You could get a solid job, work 40 hours a week, not beat them up, tell them you love them once a week. There you go. It's way better than what you had. But that's your dream. You know what I'm saying? You're not going to fight very long for that dream. But when you start talking about, I want multiple homes, or I want a house in other countries, and then people say this, like, why do you want all that? I don't want all that. I just got to have to do something. I got to do something besides watch Yellowstone or whatever, you know what I mean? I like Beth and all. But, my goal is to watch every Netflix. Like, what is I don't know. In other words, the smaller the goal, this guy I love, Bill Britt, he said this. He said, if your dream is the size of a pea, like a little green pea, if your dream is the size of a pea, then a problem the size of a pea will stop you from succeeding. And I was like, yeah, their kids are probably not going to have a better life than them. It's the same life. It's just because anything can stop that from happening. But if your goal is to make $1 million or a year, or your goal is to have your kids multimillionaires before they're adults, if your goal is crazy talk, then nothing stops you from getting it. Does that make it? It's kind of like the rule of 72, the rule of gravity. Your goal is, your size of your goal determines your determination. Does that make sense? Like a small goal just begs to be beaten. It begs to go down. The rule of 72, the rule of gravity, the rule of size of goals is what I tried to base my base my life on. I'd be like, all right, so let me get this straight. If I keep hanging around and broke people, I'm gonna be broke. All right. I'm like, I didn't go like, people ask me like, how did you, as you was getting, when you graduated high school and college, how did you stand the breaking away from friends? Like, what? I don't know. I started talking to, like, when I started talking to these people, I didn't have time. And then when I scheduled a meeting to go to a convention, and then my aunt, my uncle, my cousin would call me, and they'd say, I wish you'd be here. I said, I wish I could be there too. But I can't be at two. Here's a good one. I can't be at two places at one time yet. You hit them with that. See what they say then. Just hit them with the truth. I can't be at two places at one time. And they could say, but you could be here. I go, yeah, I know. See, this is if I took the call. But I love what Marcusetta said. Caller ID is a miracle sent from God himself. I'd be like, that's a red button. You get the red button, the green button. The green is a money maker, and the red is a money killer. I hit the red on them people. I like, that's a red. They just look at it. I go, that's a red. That's a green. That's just how I do it. So I didn't figure out a way to get away from them. I just figured out a way to get around these people, and the other stuff took precedent. I forgot about this. It ain't that long ago, maybe 8 or 9 years ago. So in other words, I should have been smarter by then, like 22 years into this. But I was talking, I can't remember if it was a pastor, and I was like, dude, I got this guy. He was like, he just cannot stop watching porn. What do I do? What do I say to him? He's like, you can't do nothing about that. I was like, well, there's a problem in his life. He said, get him to focus on this and focus on this and focus on this, and then he won't have time for that. I was like, oh, that's right. You can't make somebody stop doing anything. You could only get somebody to do something that they don't have time to do that. So you put something like a big goal out there for yourself, and then you look at the things you're supposed to do, and you schedule those things, and then that's what you do. So what do you do about them? I didn't, like, I love I saw my cousin. Listen to this. This is going to sound like West Virginia or something. I saw my cousin Jane Albright last night. It's not that Jane Albright. It's my cousin Jane Albright. I saw her, and I was talking to these other people, and they were like, so y'all are cousins? I said, yeah. And they said, so y'all don't ever see each other? And I go, no, but we see each other right now. And I was hugging her. I said, can I say this? We're not like, us two are really not like most of our cousins. And Jane is so nice, so sweet. Her and what's that guy, John Wooden, good friends with John Wooden, the basketball coach. And I said, can I say that? She said, we're really not like most of them. You can say that. So she was D1 basketball coach in the top 10 in the country, lived all over the country. Like, her goals were not small. And so she accomplished things, if that makes any sense. She's got to see stuff and do stuff because, like, her difference and my difference was who we picked. Like, she'd go see John Wooden once a year. She picked to go see him and hang around him. Just made a simple decision. It would never occur to me to ask her what she did with what she did with other people that she kind of left behind. I mean, we know where they're at. And it's no more we left them behind than we left each other behind. We didn't leave each other behind. She went D1 coach. I went D1 income. I mean, I just made, this is what I wanted, was freedom, and she wanted to be a coach. And so then she hung around great coaches. She just didn't, it's just I know it's not, I don't want to oversimplify it, but I do want to make it simple enough that anybody could do it. Because that's the way I learned it. I'd go to these conferences, and I would just listen to those guys, and I would I hope that that guy, I didn't look like, oh, this guy, he wasn't floating across the stage. As a matter of fact, I was laughing because he was an idiot in so many different ways. I'd be like, Joker is a moron, but good God almighty, he's got 3 homes, he's got a jet, he's got a helicopter, and he didn't, here's something, he didn't go to no ball games. I was like, that's stupid right there. Who the hell don't go to ball games? But, that's just, but he didn't say go to ball games. He didn't say don't go to ball games. He didn't say anything of that. What he would just say, and I don't care if you pull for some weird team. It make no difference to me. I'm just saying that my choice to who to hang around, right? So, yesterday this guy was texting me, is that you where I think I see you? And I said, that's me. He said, I'm going to be you in my next life. And I'm thinking, you could be me in 5 years. You might could do it in 3. But what you'll have to change is who you hang around, the audios you listen to, and the books you read now. So we got all these events coming up. How much do you hang around? Everybody that I've known, not everybody, the people that have blown this up, they'll come to the home office once a month, get around Robbie and Clay and the whole team, get around Chris Norris. And it's funny, you see people come hang around to events, and they will not miss an event until, if I can draw this, if I can imagine it. This is like where they pay their bills, right here. And this is where they're a lot of times they're right here, like just below the line. Sometimes they're way below the line. So they'll start paying their bills, and then they get up here to where their daddy's bills are, or where they're rich friends in their neighborhood. And once they get above their rich friends, then there's, multimillionaire status, then there's Bryan Adams status, and there's Kid Rock status, and Michael Jordan status. And what happens is they're consistently coming to meetings until here. And then they'll skip one. And then they'll drop back, and then they'll go to meeting. It's the way that it goes, like that right there. A lot of times it's interesting. Now, some people, they're more comfortable not making as much money as their friends make. They're rich friends. Remember they're rich friends, right? They're rich friends, right? Let's make sure you understand this. They're rich friends that make $100,000. They don't want to make more than him. They make 65. They get up around 80 or 90. They'll be like, I'm out. I don't want to be number one. Then I got a target on my back. You know what I mean? Like I got pressure on me. I'm being number one. So when they get up, so this is the $100,000 guy or whatever. When they get up around him, they start going to meetings, stop reading. And then, when they get up around, the $1 million income, or even the $400,000, they get their swimming pool, they get their Mercedes Benz, and they quit hanging around. Does that make any sense? Like it's a magnet. So I remember sitting in those meetings thinking, is that all I got to do? Like, is that it? Where's Chris? Is that it? That's all I got to do? That's what Chris sitting out on my porch. I was telling him how to get rich, and he was like, that don't seem like work to me. I was like, that's all I do. And he was like, that's all you do? I said, that's all I do, bro. I don't do anything else. There's no tax strategies. There's no, I don't even know almost like, what do you think I'm going to do? Like, what's your brainstorming idea that I did that, like, I remember sitting there watching Bill Britton, I think, and Larry Winters, and I was like, is that it? Here's one thing I did they didn't do. I got an insurance license. Because apparently there's more markup in insurance than there is soap. I did the math and the calculation when I got my insurance license. Oh, actually, when where's Cuz? When Cuz was telling me that, I was like, say what now? We send 50 of their dollars and we get 500? I said, oh my God. Amway, I had to buy my own soap before I sold it. I had to pay for it. And then sell it to them. It's like step after step. But don't get me wrong. These dudes making money. It just had, like, if you had 200 people, if you have 200 people in January to come to that, and you can just play with the math, 145, 20 people, your override income at 200 people is around $100,000 a month. Just to keep the math, it's more like 85 or 87,000. But 87,000 a month, 100,000 a month, you're not going to be mad at me if you only get 87 and you're shooting for 100, right? I mean, you might be like, I missed my goal, you know. So 200 people in January to the convention gets you 100,000 a month. So 100 people gets you 50,000 a month in overrides. That makes sense? Like, it's just. And they had numbers too. I had at 200 people, I would make $10,000 a month. So what's the difference there? So at 200 people, I make $20,000. 200 people, I'll make $10,000. Here, 200 people make, it's 10x. Does that make sense? Instead of $10,000 a month, you make $100,000 a month. That's a big difference to me. But if you say, well, how'd they make money, Andy? Well, they get 10,000 people there. That's how. They get 20,000 people there. That's how. Well, why didn't you do that? If you had all you had to do is get 10,000. It's hard to get 200 people because people are crazy, and they got problems, and they got families and illnesses and hurricanes and cheering, aunts, church. Got to go to church. Can't you go to church here? No, I got church there. Our church is different. See, here, people don't understand this too. Like you don't get mad about it. I'm not mad about it. I'm just not my life. I just find somebody different. And then people get mad about that. Like, don't you care about them? I go, yeah. What do you want me to do? Pay their bills? What do you want me to do? Give them a kiss? Come here. Get them. Come here. I kiss them. That's not my deal. Here's where I am. I'm in my circle. I'm going to take my butt to the meeting. I'm going to read the book. All right. This is my deal with money. It's not what people think. It's not going after it. Like, I got a higher paying commission. I got a higher paying job. I got this. I got that. It's like, bro, it's not like that. Here's the way it happens. You hang around the right people, read the right books, go to the meetings, and have a bigger goal than the size of a pea. Hey, Haley. Have a bigger goal than the size of a pea than the church, the cousin, the hurricane. Like, look, let me explain something to y'all. Like, it's just, I believe in life insurance. I do not believe in car insurance. I do not believe in house insurance. Now, why do you have car insurance? Because you cannot drive if you don't, they make you do it. Okay? The only thing I think more powerful than making you do it is letting you have it for free or no premiums. If you can't sell car insurance when it's legally required, you are not belonging in sales. You should get a job at Chick-fil-A and call that sales. If you can't sell Medicare Advantage for no premiums, you with me? All right. Man, that messed me up. I forgot what I was going to say. What was I talking about? You was paying attention. Huh? Yeah. It's not chasing it and trying to find it. It's you running for something, and then money going like, hey, I'll show him. I'll give him a bunch of me. It's weird. It's not kidding. It's in Think and Grow Rich. They said it's in the Bible. I can't understand what it says in the Bible, but they said it says, Marcus tells me it's the same thing. It's the same thing in the Bible, but I don't understand. I'm trying to read it. I'm like, I don't know. John, Bob, Timothy had Marcus and all this. I'm trying to understand it. Think and Grow Rich said money is elusive. You need to chase something else, and it'll find you. Like, I'm trying to get good at everything. Mark Sell was talking about that. I'm trying to get good at everything. The people I know that got rich got good at one thing. That's right. Oh, I know what I was going to tell you too. Like my house. Like, I don't believe in property and casualty. I know you have to have it, but you buy a house and rent it out, you do not have to have house insurance, or hurricane insurance, or flood insurance, or fire insurance, or nothing. And my CFO, he's like, you're just not going to put any insurance on that house. I was like, no. He's like, why? I said, because it costs too much. And I don't have to. You can't make me. And he's like, all right. He said, you richer than I am. I said, that's not like me and Haley. Haley runs my real estate down there. If that hurricane had have hit us, it would have wiped out, what would you guess, Haley? How many houses would have just absolutely obliterated? Huh? Half of them. So 13 houses would be completely demolished, and we would have had nothing. And I have a meeting here. If we waited till Wednesday, we might have problems. If we waited till Tuesday, we might have problems. So I said, Jane, get the dogs. We got to go. Now, Missy, get that jet down here. We got to go. Who said, I didn't have a jet. Well, if I had a car, I would have started driving. But I'm not mad at anybody that stayed there, would put sandbags up, or their parents were there and they had to take care of their parents. I'm not mad at anybody. Just for me, like that, I like that Bible verse that says, as for me and my house, we're going to serve the Lord. I was like, for me and my house, we're going to the meeting. I can't tell you what your household going to do. I'm going to the meeting. What are you going to do about your houses down in Florida? What do you want me to do about them? You going to get insurance now? Hell, I ain't going to have insurance. It costs too much money. I ain't paying for that. Conventions don't cost too much. Flood insurance does. Does that make sense? Like, dude, what's wrong with you, Albright? What do you mean, what's wrong with me? We ain't got all day. The convention's coming to an end. Was that Cat's laughing? Don't start now. What's wrong? What's wrong with you? So I got a strategy about it. That house, we just bought $1.2 million for a house on the water. If the house is worth $10,000, you can come get it. Like, come put it on a trailer and take it with you. You with me? The land is worth, I think, 1.3. We paid 1.2. I think it's 1.3 without the house. So if it obliterates it, I ain't gonna have to pay $50,000 and tear the damn thing down. What about your $2,000 a month rent you gonna get for it? I won't have it. It'll be gone. It'll be all right. Does that make any sense? Like, I know it's just what I'm trying to tell you is this. It's just, once you make your decisions, then it's not like then you don't have all this damn drama. This is how what I understood they said, Debbie, when they were talking about making money, was who you hang around, the books, and then people are like, but I love her, and I love him, and my mama, and she did so much. Like, my mama told me the other day, she said, don't you remember when I'd give you $20 every once in a while when you was broke? I was like, now that you mention it, I do remember that. What do you want? You need to come see your uncle's funeral. I said, I ain't coming to that funeral. I don't even know who he is. I barely do remember which one he is. He's a nice guy. Besides, I got a meeting I got to go to. But like my aunt, and then I got another cousin, Armstead. You know, the ones that separated themselves from the crowd, I'll be if we don't have a meeting scheduled, I'll be at Jane's funeral if it happens before my funeral. But if her funeral is during one of my meetings, I will not be going to my cousin Jane Albright's funeral. You with me? Like, I love her, but if I ain't got nothing scheduled, I'm going. Like, you can't stop me. But if I got something scheduled, you with me? And I got a jet. Like, if I've got something scheduled the next day or the day before, or maybe the afternoon and her funeral's in the morning, I got a jet. I can fly see her in the morning. You with me? Does that make sense? It's like Jim Henson is married to Shirley. You know Shirley? Well, I love Diane. Diane was his wife before Shirley. And Diane was going to die. I said, Jane, I love that woman. She's a badass. We need to go see her before she dies. Because we're not going to be able to go to her funeral, probably, but we need to go see her while she's alive. So that's the first time it's one of the first times I ever rented a jet. And she's like, how are we going to get down there? I said, a jet, I reckon. And she's like, you just going to rent a jet and just go see Diane? I said, I guess I'm just going to rent a jet and see Diane. So we rented a jet, got a limo, went over there to the house, sat down in the living room, talked about how we'd see her later in heaven, and how much we loved her and we appreciated her. And we got back in the limo, and she was standing on the porch waving at us. That's a weird feeling, saying goodbye to somebody that you literally was saying goodbye. You with me? But if I didn't, if I went to every dumbest person's stuff, I couldn't have done that with Diane, and I won't be able to do that with Jane. You with me? And I hope Jane lives longer than me, and she probably will. I don't know. According to the actuaries, she will. They say women in for the long haul. Men, they gonna die. Does it make any sense? Huh? All right, so it's just simple stuff. We got a meeting, and you look at the tickets. And here's another thing. Like, I immediately, Jennifer, how many people bought tickets? Send me a list of who bought tickets. I sent it to Jennifer. Like, I know how many, and I already got a list. But so why do you care whether I buy a ticket? I don't care if you buy a ticket. I want to know who bought a ticket. Does that make sense? I'm just trying to identify, no offense, I'm just trying to identify the winners. By default, the other people also. Oh, did you like our strategy? I liked our strategy. $1.99 to do it now, $2.99 if you do it over time. Like, well, I don't care. All I'm doing is trying to trick people into getting rich. When you make a decision now, you get rich quicker. When you take longer to make decisions, it costs you. Not only does the ticket cost you more, it gets longer before you get rich. Every time I let Spencer talk about conventions, he don't want to talk about how great it is or how much you're going to make from it. He's like, how much is it going to cost you not to go? Well, if you buy your ticket over time, it's going to cost you $100. That's how much it's going to cost you. But I don't know how much it's going to cost you if you don't go. If you didn't come to this meeting, I don't know how much it's going to cost you or care. It's not my children. It's not my family. But don't you care about me? I care about you, but I don't care if you stick yourself in the eye with a ice pick. It's not my eye. I mean, but would you try to stop me if I saw you? But it would be kind of like a tree falling in the woods. I'm not sure if it makes a noise or not because I ain't there when it falls. So I don't know if you stick your eye with an ice pick, as long as I'm not there and see it, because Jane knows I'd pass out if I saw it. I'd be like, all right. So rule 72. So you got an agent over here and you got a house over here. If you write a check for $100,000, this is oversimplified like crazy on purpose. I can do the details better than you can, so don't start on me with your attitude. I feel it. What about if you bury the money? What? What about if you bury the money? You ain't got no credit. You can't borrow $100,000. Yes, I can. I can hear it. You write a check for $100,000, and you rent it for $500 a month. Okay? Yes, you could borrow the money, But let's say your payment was $400. Then you're only making $100. Because I didn't want to go too fast for you. If your payment's $400 a month on a $100,000 loan, and people are like, you can't borrow 100% of it. I'm just giving them an example. I know. It just gets so confusing when you borrow 80%. Now you got to come up with a $20,000 down payment. Where'd you get that from? And you really had to come up with $40,000. You really had to make 40 to pay 20, because 40,000 gets taxed, 20,000 of it. But if you're making 40,000, you don't get taxed. If you're only making 40,000 a year, you're not ever going to put 20,000 down on a house. So you would have to assume that the ding-dong head was making 150, and 40 of that 50 gets taxed at 50%. Does that make sense? Am I slowing down enough on that? I know I'm not. Back to 100. So forget borrowing it. You write a check for 100,000 in your imagination. I know you ain't got 100. So when I had 100, when I was 37 years old, and Russell told me to get an insurance license, or suggested that I do, I had about 110,000 in my 401k. I was making about $10,000 a month in Amway, probably less. I had a coupon book business. I sell coupon books for $20. They cost me $3. I make $17 because I bought like 8,000 or something. I got a discount making these coupon books, these restaurant books. So like if you said $20 too much, I said, about how much you think I ought to charge? You say 10. I said, okay, I'll take it. I have a 3 in it. Sometimes I say, let me ask you something. Would you rather have 1 for 10 or 2 for 20? And they said, I'd rather have 1 for 10. I said, how about 3 for 20? They go, that's a deal. I said, give me 20. You see how I did that? I didn't want 10. I wanted 20. People, what about your coupon books? I didn't even want them. I'm printing them to get rid of them. I didn't print them to keep them. You understand? It's like 3 for 20. They'd be like, how about 4? I'd be like, I do my math. I'd be, yeah. It's still 10. It's still 20 instead of 10. Yeah, but you're only making $2 profit. Let's be clear. I didn't have that money no more. I didn't have the $3. I needed to get my $3 back that I had in the book plus $2 each. I was happy as everything to do 4 for 20. You understand what I'm saying? Like I just keep it simple. But 25, how about, yeah. You got any friends? If you tell me to get some, maybe we get y'all, like you're starting to get edgy with me at 5. 4, we're in. You with me? I just do the math. So $100, you get $500 a month. Me and Haley have been having this conversation about real estate. One of my smart friends, I told him, I said, we got 99% occupation. He said, that's one of the dumbest things I've ever heard a real estate person say. I said, explain yourself. He said, if you only had 80% rented and somebody comes along willing to pay anything, you'd have something to rent them. I was like, that's right. And he's like, how could you get only 80% occupied? I said, well, if we went up in prices maybe 30%, we'd probably only have 80% of them rented. And then I thought to myself, you dumb. 30% more price would make more money at 80% rented out than 100% at the current price. And he was like, right. I was like, I was like, hey, we got to tell Haley this. We're going to have to have a gang of people because she's smarter than me. So we're going to have to explain it so she understands it because she's so smart. You with me? You understand what I'm saying? It's like, so we all got together and we told her. And she's like, I get it. I was like, all right, increase prices. See, listen to this. At 50% rented, if you have 100 properties and 50% of them are rented out, at twice the price as 100%, you're making the same amount of money, and you don't even have to fix 50% of them. That's crazy, ain't it? That's the way I do it. So let me get this straight. So I said, increase the prices. He's like, yeah. I said, all right. Isn't that crazy? And then, I mean, so if you go up 50% and you keep 70% of them rented, oh my, I mean, if you start doing the math on that, it's crazy talk. And you got the logistics company, right, Grayson? This helps, don't it? It's like, wait, what? More money, less risk, less hassle, less liability, less people. It's crazy. Look, you have to hang around with the rich people, Mike. You know what that does? Less crazies. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just solved so much drama in your life by telling you to hang out with these and not them. The only thing is these do cost 10 times more. But look at the drama you're saving. That's worth 50 times more. And, like, yeah, I'd rather send them a present than go see them. You know what I'm saying? Like, Missy, send them flowers. I'm out. That's crazy, ain't it? So this is how you do it. It's books, who you hang around, go to conventions. So I want to say this. Like, when I started, I mean, it's no joke. Once I got up in here, income-wise, I quit pushing the meetings and the books as much, and I saw it level off. I was like, this is dumb of me. I'm doing what I've seen other people do. And I was like, I got to get my mind right. I need a yacht. I need to get my mind right. I need a house in another country. I need to deal with another country's taxes and see how that works. More money, more problems, right? You have no idea, because then you got to deal with, does the government let you own the house? Can the government take it from you in that country? And what's the stability of that country? And, oh, my God. More problems, right? But more problems. Listen, the day you wake up with no problems is the day you got a different problem. I hope it's a good one. You'd be like, all right, where's this Jesus guy? Right? Or, oh, hell is hot. The day you woke up no problems, you got a different problem. I'm just trying to create bigger and crazier problems. Who was that guy that said, that's not true, and then I showed you an email I got that morning from my attorney? Who was that? Yeah. Isn't that crazy? He's like, it's not, you said something like, he said, more problems, more money, more problems, or bigger problems, and you said, not really. And I was like, oh, yeah, he's serious. Here's an email. And I showed him an email my attorney sent that morning. And it was crazy, wasn't it? And I was just like, something I deal with. But could you imagine if you got that email? You'd be like, oh my God! Everybody, and I answered him back. What'd I say? Thank you for your focus. That's the answer. Thank you for your focus and attention. I could have put I love you, but I didn't. I thought about it, but I didn't say I love you because he's a funny guy, my attorney. Okay, so you hire an agent that does 10 sales a month, 10 sales per month, and you make $500 a month. So in one case, you have to write $100,000 to get $500 a month. In the other case, you have to shake somebody's hand and say, you look familiar. Y'all know how to do that, right? You know, I'm looking for somebody I don't know that good. Like, you look familiar. Yeah. You. What's your name? What is it? Jonas. Did I meet you in Charlotte? Whose team you on? Brandon Manley? See how I said? Brandon Manley? Who hired you? Grayson? You on that team? Woohoo! That's why you look familiar. That's the way I do it. Just like that, every time. If it's a Uber driver, I'll be like, You look familiar. And they'd be like, I say, what's your name? They go, Jonas. You from Charlotte? You from South Carolina? That's what I do. Why you do that? Because I want another $100,000. What do you mean you want $100,000? Hiring a person that's not worth $100,000. Look like to me hiring a person that's worth $100,000. Amway, you had to get $500 a month. You had a guy to get 6, and all 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and all 6 of them had to get 4. And then all 4 of them had to get 2. And they would make $500 a month. I was like, all right, we better get to work. So I mean, 30 years ago when I saw the plan, I was like, I better get to work now because that's going to get a bunch of people right there. 642, baby. I make $500 a month off of them. And they explained to me how this cost less than $100,000. I think they was fibbing a little bit at him. But in this, you can sell. By the way, the problem is over here you couldn't really sell. It was just if you bought it'd be like if that many people bought their own policy. So if that many bought their own policy here, that'd be great. But this person's selling 10 a month. If he only bought 1 a month, well, first of all, you can't buy 1 insurance policy a month, but you buy 1 box of soap a month, I guess. But if you just sell $10,000 a month and you make a 5%, and then people say like, well, I'm at a 85 and I hire him at a 75, or if I hire him at a 65, I'm making 20%. Well, 20% is $2,000 a month. If you're at a 90 and you hire them at a 70 and you're making 20% spread, that's $2,000 a month. That's like a $400,000 gift. When I saw that, I thought all the stuff I knew from Amway, I was like, if I'll just keep doing that and not convert and do what these ding-dongs are doing, I will make hundreds of millions of dollars. So then what you do is you teach this person to do the same thing. So if you get somebody doing that like Mike and Noel or Alex Abian or Adam Katz or Diane Lampy or Stephen, if you get them, or like what Chris, like Megan Wood's doing, that number just keeps going up. Now, if you're only making, if they're doing $1 million a month and you're only making 5%, that's $50,000 a month. So what would, I probably have to get my phone to do that. 50,000 a month, 50,000 divided by 500. Can you see that? Yeah. Is 100. So 100 times 100,000. Huh. That's like putting $10 million in the bank. It's like buying $10 million worth of real estate. That's insane. But who knows? You might have been making, I've seen some people, they hire them at $10,000 a month. They're making 30 or 40% spread. And then they get more and more people. You get less spread, but same amount of money. So you might have been making $10 million when they were halfway there. I mean, yeah, you might have been making $50,000 a month before they even got to, before you got to only $50,000 a month. You might have been making $50,000 a month for years before you got to $50,000 a month at 5% spread. Because a 10% spread on 500,000 is same as a 5% spread on $1 million. I just wanted to, I mean, to me, it's funny. I was talking to a buddy. His name is Neil Robbins, and I was saying, he was explaining something. I was explaining something to him, and he was just like staggered by it. And then he was explaining something to me that I was staggered by what he was saying, because he's one of those people that you want to hang around. Yeah, he's one of those crazies that's got power and money and influence and all that. And he said, you know, I can't get over how when I'm talking to somebody and I feel embarrassed to share it with them, And then they go, wow. And I go, yeah, I know. It's weird. You gotta remember that people they've not had escargot. They've just never tasted it, or they've never had bone marrow. They've never, they've not had that kind of wine, or they just, or they've not had dinner in the Eiffel Tower. It's just they hadn't done it, or they've not been out in the bush in Africa and seen what it's like. They've never come around a corner and there was a mama elephant with her babies. You think, get the hell out of there is what you think. Do not mess with a mama elephant and her babies. They make weird noises, and they have that trunk thing. Oh, they'll kill you. I was just thinking about what all the hunters say, but don't say them things. Something about mamas and elephants, and they go to lose their mind, don't they, Spencer? They just lose their mind. Okay, so Andy, talking to an Uber driver is free. I know that. Calling everyone in my phone book or my phone is free. I know that. So you mean calling those people is like work? Yes. It's like working a job and saving up $100,000 and buying a house. But you're skipping all the work. It doesn't seem right. I know, right? Isn't that weird that you skip all the work and you get the same money? I know, right? It's weird. So, well, and you just believed it. Well, I kept coming to these seminars and they would say it, and I'd be like, he's full of shit. There's no way. And then I come to the meeting again, he'd tell me again, I go, that's the same damn thing he said last time. I'd be like, and then I would hire somebody and I'd make a nickel or $16, and I'd do the math on it, and I go, this is an Amway. I'd make $16, and I was like, well, it worked for $16. I guess it'll work for $500 a month. So then I just kept doing it, and then I got really good at doing that. You with me? Not good at everything. I mean, my wife and children and a lot of my friends tell you, he is not good at a lot of things. Like, people ask me about, it's unbelievable. People know who the quarterback of the Cleveland team is. They even know the last part of it, like Cleveland Raiders or whatever. They'll say, no, they'll correct me, it's the Cleveland Browns, and I'll be like, you know that? You know the quarterback's name of them? Or like New York. They'll be like, yeah, the quarterback of that team is. I'll be like, holy shit, you're smart. Do you know any other quarterback's name? They'll be like, just listen them off. They listen to this. They know how many leagues they are in a team, and there are many teams in the league. And they know all the quarterbacks of every team in the league. I'll be like, I don't say this to them, but I'm thinking, you're smart. That's a lot to know. Wow. Some of them know the lineman's name. But that's impressive, Bo. They know what their score, like what the score of all the games are. Like, not just their team, they know other teams' scores. Wow. That's impressive. And do you know like other sports things too? They go, yeah, I know hockey. Did you know that hockey's in Canada and the United States? And they don't really have it in other countries, I don't think. Soviet Union, if that's really a country. But like, it's weird what they know. You know what I'm saying? Like, you just be like, I'm astounded at what they do. And then I do this, and they're like, wow. I'm thinking, yeah, it's not that hard. I just do it all the time. It's weird. So, watch this. Couldn't you just save the money and just like make the 100,000 and just save the money? How much can you make on money? They would say 20%. Where? Stock market. I'm not real smart on the stock market, but I've been hearing people talk about it's not been going good. So I don't think you're making 20% on something that's going down. And how about this? People go like, aren't you worried about stock market? No. Why? It's not in my purview. I've got these really smart people named Ethan and Landon. They work for a company called Revisor. They started it. They're smart as dookie about that stuff. Like they start talking like, we're going to harvest some of your losses for tax precautions there and there. How about do that? Don't F it up. And they'd be like, we're going to be real careful with yours. I was like, you better. I will come get you. And then I go on and start doing what I do, which is hiring more people. You with me? Like, I can't deal with that. They do that. Chris Norris don't do that for you. Chris is the one that talks me into giving it to them. They're the ones that manage it. I know that. I have talked to Chris. He is not managing my money. So you don't trust him to manage it? No. He's all focused on getting it. He can't be good at managing it as good as he is at getting it. See how I did the math on that? Ethan and Landon and all his people, like my mind's terrible. Like you say, what's wrong with you? A lot. There's a lot wrong with me. If I gave you 15% of what I'm thinking, you would probably go home. You'd be like, this guy. Because I think that about Bill Britt, too. I'm thinking, like, if the dumbness I heard out of Britt's mouth, what if I knew 15% of what's really in his head? I would have probably quit Amway. A lot of people did, just the 15%. They'd be like, I'm quitting. I was like, I'm going to hang around for the train wreck. And that jerk goes to jail, I'm going to be right there watching. Did you ever see Mike? He was crazy. He'd be walking around. I think I'm fat until I think back about Bill Britt, and I'm like, I ain't all that fat. You know? Jerk was crazy. Put $100,000 in the bank, what you gonna make on it? Even an annuity pays what, 3%? 5%? You got an annuity to pay 5%? I ain't heard of that. Was that true? What's the annuity pay? Sabrina? Oh, you talking about commission. This is what I'm talking about right there. Who cares what it pays out? I want to know what I get. Let's say the person you sold it to, what do they get? 2.2, 3? Can you get 3? Huh? They get peace of mind. We selling pom-poms. Y'all know what pom-poms are, right? Plenty of money and peace of mind. We selling pom-poms. 3%. So that is, 3% is what? What's 3% of 100,000? 3,000? 3,000 a year. That's the other thing you think about. It's 3,000. It's not a month. It's a year. Then you got to divide by 12 to get in the neighborhood. So 3,000 divided by 12 is 250. You say, well, Andy, why don't you just buy a house? You make 500. It's not a bad idea. You know that part where the dog's dookie in the house and somebody has to go clean it up? You know the part where if they don't pay the rent and just sit there? You know the part where the roof gets torn off by a hurricane? You know the part where they tear up the walls? That's where that 250 is. It's in the headaches. You get paid an extra 250 for the headache. You put in an annuity, peace of mind. And they take 250 for the headache of worrying about your money. So your other option would be to spend that 100,000 over here, instead of putting it in a bank to make 250 a month, you take that 100,000 and you invest it. So what happens is, what's your name? Butler? Butler. Frank, first name? Frank? Fred. So Fred, if you make $100,000 this year selling insurance, I highly recommend, now I'm not an accountant and I'm not a CPA, but here's what I know happens. If you turn in like $90,000 worth of expenses, you only the IRS only shows you, one of my buddies told me, he said, if I make this amount of money, I don't know, $13,000 a year, I don't get government benefits anymore. I said, well, what you need to do is spend $13,000 of food and seminars and stuff like that, so then you make nothing. You don't have to pay no taxes. I don't think they'll take you off. I don't think the government will take you off. And it's 1099 anyway. It's your taxes. I'm not a government. I don't know how that works, but I think you'll still get it because you're writing it off. But I know this: if you make if you ain't on a government benefit, you just make $100,000, you're gonna have to pay some taxes. But if you turn in $90,000 in expenses and you only make 10, then you don't pay any taxes. Does that make sense? You say, but then I ain't making no money. You understand we make money to spend it, right? So you spend it on expenses. Like, as people say, you need a tax write-off. I do not need a tax write-off. I am not an idiot. I will make my own tax write-offs. I will go out to eat and eat my tax write-offs. I am not going to give you the money because I'm too dumb to go to a restaurant that costs $250 each. People say, you cannot write off $250. Yes, you can. The government never says, how much steak did you have? They just say, where's the receipt? You give them a receipt. If it's a $150 steak, it's a $150 steak. Does that make, like, you tracking with me, Jeremy? See, what I would have done with those flip-flops, you was worried if you ought to buy one. I would have bought 3 pairs and said it was a contest. It don't look like a contest if you just buy one. Does that make sense? Like, I'm thinking of, like, I know I don't, like, it's crazy. I'm in my jet with coaches or this guy's Wasserman Sports, and he was like, do you know John Beretta? I was like, I never heard of John Beretta. Do you know something? He's naming, like, the top golfers in the world. I'll be like, I played golf with some of them, but I don't remember their names. You know what I'm saying? Like I feel like an idiot, except for I don't care. Wasserman is the biggest sports agency in the country, or one of the top 3 biggest sports agents. And I'm with their sports agent that does golf. You with me? Like, he does the golf for Wasserman. Like, so all these pros, he knows them. And he gets, a commission off of what they get paid. You understand? Like a sports agent. And he's naming these people, asking me to know them. And I know not one of these people. And I'm thinking, I know these people. I played golf with them. But I can't remember their names because it's not what I study. You understand what I'm saying? Like, I just, like, and then people are like, aren't you embarrassed? Like, he wasn't mad at me or laughing at me. Oh, the same guy picked me up at the airport, and he said he won 30 minutes with me. I said, no, I'm busy. He said, how about if I pick you up at the airport? I said, that'll work. So I texted Missy, and I said, I don't need a driver anymore. He's picking me up. And he gets in the car, and he says, how do we get to your house? I said, hell, I don't know. He said, you don't know how to get your own house? I said, I ain't never been. I mean, I don't watch where the guy's going. I said, can't you do something on your phone? He was like, what's the address? I said, we're in big trouble. I said, I better call Jane. I texted Missy. You know what he said? He said, I love people like you. I know he said that. He said, I love people like you. I said, why is that? He said, because I know you got money. Because you're an idiot. He said, do you remember that time I called you and I said, is your plane in the Bahamas? And you said, no. And then you went, wait, it might be my other one. I said, yeah, I remember that. He said, and it was. I said, I remember. He said, that's the way this time you don't know where your house is. Remember that time you didn't know where your plane was? Now you don't know where your house is. That make any sense? I'm telling you, you're so complicated. And you think you're dumber than me, but in fact, you're 100 times smarter. But I am smart as hell when it comes to where I need to invest my finances. Like I'm gonna take that 100,000. I'm going to spend that money on hiring this person right here, Fred. You say you just said you was going to do it on steak. Well, I'm going to balance steak, wine, and hiring other people. When I was broke, all 90,000 would go toward hiring other people. And my wife would be like, you know, we've got septic system backing up in the shower. And I was like, is it pee-pee or dookie? That's a big difference, you know. You get it coming up in the shower. And she was like, I was like, okay, you can do that. In other words, I wouldn't take that money to build my lifestyle or keep the septic from, but I mean, that was started to be a big problem. We had windows, like I would just take every dime, we made from selling, every dime from credit cards, every $20 that my mama would give me, and I would go over here and try to hire more people. It's everything. I love when Mark said, we need some people, what did he say? But crazies. And I said, I know that's right. What was it he said? We need fanatics or something? Huh? Lunatics, we said. We just need some lunatics. I know, right? Like, you know, a lunatic is like a person that's just like, you know, that's kind of how I am. I ain't gonna go hire some people. I'm gonna go hire some people. You know what I mean? You don't go to a ball game. I want to go hire some people. I just want to hire people. Like just totally, does this help? So you could either make $250 a month with your 100,000, but if your problem is you have to make 200,000 because the government is going to take 100, and then you put the 100 that you have left over in an annuity and make $250 a month, or you take all that money that you're making, if you're making 200,000, spend as much as you can traveling around the country. Oh, how about this? If you hire a great secretary, where's my social media girl? Come here a minute, please, Jessica. Hey, do y'all like what she does with my social media? She makes me look smart. So y'all heard me say, you don't know if you got a good secretary until you hire another good secretary. And she came up to me and she said, I get it now. Would you kind of tell them how you figured, how you agree now?
Okay, sure. So we are doing more social media and going to more places. So that means we need more help. We have outsourced a few positions in social media. I hired one person, thought she was doing a great job, which she is, but then I hired a second and I realized, the first one needs to actually go a little bit faster. So now I'm using the second one to put a little more heat on the first one to be more productive.
Now, she's in a better position than you are because I'm paying the salary of the first one and the second one. You with me? I understand for you it's more of a challenge hiring a second person. I get it. But I also get that you know more. You're 10 times smarter than me as much you know about athletics. You must be a genius. So figure out how to do it. Does that make sense? Then you figure out how to do it, and then you go like, you were right. And I'll be like, dude, I'm not trying to win. I'm not trying to prove anything to you. I don't care if I'm right or wrong. I'm just telling you, you'll see. It's the same thing when you hire 12 agents. One agent or person is going to be 100 times bigger or better than the 12th one, the 12th worst one. It's not a magic differential equations with x's and fx's and all them. Dude, I'm tell you what. I'm going to tell you all this. I kill it with this and this and this. And I'm pretty good with this. But when you do this and this, I lose my mind. And if some people are like, I don't even know what that is. I'm with you. But I passed it. It's called calculus. And calculus 2, I was up here. You with me? That's what I'm real good at. And mainly because of this. And then if the numbers get big, I use that. Ooh, there's a bullet hole. You see that? Yeah. So you get this. You can do like, watch this. This is smart. This is stuff I know. Ha ha! You see how it stopped the other way? You turn things sideways. You know when I had to figure that out? When I got stock in integrity. Because I did the math on it, and I couldn't do it, and somebody was like, turn it sideways. So I was like, aha! 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 You can't do billions when that thing's turned like this. See, you see that? Who knows what the little e means? I have no clue. That's what it means. The little e is like that right there. It's complicated. That's simple.